guys, welcome to the video. I'm sorry if I sound a little scratchier than normal. I'm just getting over a chest cold, but I will do my very best to be back up to 100% for you guys for the next video. Until then, I hope you're okay with dealing with this scratchy nastiness. Sorry. For this video, we're flying to Watts Bridge, and I did my very first unassisted landing. So exciting. I didn't die. And then we also did some work on the bus using the angle grinders and the electric shears to get the rest of the vents out. It's getting really close to being fully gutted and ready to be brought back. Over the next few weeks, we have a ton of fun stuff to be sharing with you guys. We're going to be traveling a bit and hopefully bring you guys along with us. And we're going to be getting the driveway redone, or at least starting the process, which will be one step closer to having the bus back on the property. Thank you for all the comments, suggestions, feedback, questions. We're absolutely loving it. Keep sending them. We want to hear what you think about these videos. We're still getting used to doing this whole YouTube filmy stuff. So the more feedback, the better. Let us know what you think about our videos. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And then you can also follow us on Instagram and Facebook. I'm going to be doing my absolute best to post more over the next few weeks and maybe even add in some stories so you guys can see what we're doing on a day-to-day basis. Anyways, enjoy the video and I will see you in a few weeks. Bye! Good morning. We're just gassing up the plane and then we're going to be on our way to Watts Bridge. It is about 28 nautical miles west of Caboolture Airfield. Although we may have some pilots watching, for all those who aren't pilots, let's take a minute and explain the trip. First of all, there are two types of flying, VFR and IFR. VFR stands for Visual Flight Rules, while IFR is Instrument Flight Rules. We're going to be flying with VFR, Visual Flight Rules, which means we do not intend to contact a control tower. In order to do so, we need a map that tells us where controlled airspace is, and that's where this Visual Terminal Chart, or VTC, comes in. It may look complicated, but it's actually pretty simple. This VTC shows topographical information as well as airspace information. As we make our way to Watts Bridge, the most important label is highlighted here in red. It shows that the airspace within this band is Class C, lower limit 3,500 feet. This means that the controlled airspace exists above 3,500 feet, so in order to avoid it, that's as high as we can go. Flying towards Watts Bridge, we move into a new blue boundary that raises our ceiling to 4,500 feet max altitude, allowing us to climb higher over the mountains, which you'll see as we go. Finally, as we approach Watts Bridge, our max altitude ceiling increases to 7,500 feet. However, by then, we'll already be on our way down, preparing to land at Watts Bridge. And that's how you read a VTC. And now that you know where we're going and how we're getting there, it's time to buckle up and get ready for takeoff. Out your right window, you're able to see Mount Nee. Although it looks different from the sky, that's where we ate lunch the other day at Birch's restaurant. Here are the forests and mountains that we had to gain altitude in order to clear safely. The density of trees doesn't really offer a safe place to land, so the higher the better. Before we begin our descent to Watts Bridge Airfield, we pass right over Mount Brisbane. In some of the footage, you may notice that the landscape has become wobbly, almost like jello. This is caused by the rolling shutter effect, and is something that we've been trying to solve for the longest time. This was my first official unassisted landing. Although Greg was close to the controls in case I needed anything, I was able to successfully do the full approach and bring the plane in for a safe landing. Although at the time I was more focused on the landing than the fact that I was doing it on my own, it was a great feeling to have Greg's faith as well as the reassurance that I could land the plane myself if ever needed. Although today was kind of quiet, Watts Bridge has an annual air show, and as you can see from these photos, it can get pretty busy. After that fantastic landing, we taxied off the runway, stretched our legs for a bit, then climbed back in to make our way back to Caboolture Airfield. On our way back to Caboolture, we decided to head northeast to Kilcoy Airfield and do a touch and go. A touch and go is when you do a full circuit approach and landing, but then stay on the runway and immediately take off again. It allows you to practice your approach and landing skills without having to fully interrupt your flight. Every time we return to Caboolture Airfield, we always do 3 landings, 2 touch and goes, and then 1 final full stop. We do this to practice 3 common types of landings. The first is a normal approach, using the flaps on the wings to slow the plane down. The second is a flapless approach, simulating the failure of the flaps and having to land without them. And then the third and final landing is a glide approach, simulating an engine failure. What you're seeing here is us coming in on a glide approach with the engine in idle to do a full stop landing. And with that, Greg has another great landing under his belt, and we are back to Caboolture Airfield. Thank you for flying with us. I hope you enjoyed it and learned a little along the way. I'm still a little giddy from my first unassisted landing. I hope you guys join me in a drink or two to celebrate. Ciao for now, and signing off. Hey guys, we are back on the bus today. It's been a few days. It was raining and then we had a little puppy thing, but just a catch up on the puppy. She is all good. She's back home. Her name is Sasha, and her owner was happy to see her, grateful that we had her for the day, and got in touch with us when she could. These bars here, as you can see, they're right at head height, and that's part of the reason we're actually going to be raising the roof about 30 centimeters is the goal, because these are going to be the structure for our cabinets. So for the cabinets, in order for them to be above head height, so when I'm looking out the window, I can actually see out a window instead of out a cabinet, this whole section is going to be raised up. But because we're keeping these, we need to make sure that we're not constantly hitting them and knocking ourselves out on them. So we're covering them with these lovely little pool noodles. So if you see those, that's why those are there. They are not decoration or part of the bus. They're just to protect our noggins. Greg actually had a little mishap last time we were here, hitting his head on one of the drilled out rivets. So he has a lovely little circle right in the middle of his head. That's what he hit his head on. Not fun. We showed up at the bus today hoping to start her up just to make sure she was still running great and then keep working on the interiors, but her batteries had actually died. So our two 12-volt batteries had actually gone down to 9.6 volts each, low enough that she wouldn't start, so we had to go out and get a battery charger. It's apparently a smart charger, so it doesn't actually overcharge the batteries. It'll slowly veer down until it's no longer charging and the batteries are fully charged. And it'll be good to have it around for if we ever need it. If you guys have any suggestions of how we can avoid killing our bus's battery, that would be greatly appreciated. We've gotten most of these guys out and are starting to cut this part out here. So we have to remove this whole section without damaging that. I think we have some down here. This is the goal eventually, is to get everything here out, make it a smooth open area, and we are still going to have to grind down some spots, but cutting with the angle grinder in here seems to work relatively well. We've tried a few different tools and the angle grinder was the best out of the options. I think we're going to be posting a video sometime soon about just all the tools and stuff we've been using and kind of explaining everything and what has worked for us and what hasn't. And obviously we're not pros at this, we're learning as we go, but it's always interesting to see what everyone uses, and we're taking a lot of inspiration from other videos we're seeing, so why not show you ours?